Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Sports IQ, and we're on the air. Larry Smith with you. Glad to have you join us here as we spend the most of the next hour getting ready for the college football playoff championship game. Number one, Indiana, taking on the 10th seed Miami Hurricanes at the Canes Place down there in South Florida. Again, top of the seat of so many great venues. I will share with you the last time that I covered a game there was the BCS game back in 2009. Florida beat Oklahoma, first ever championship matchup of two Heisman winners. Previously, Tim Tebow. That year it was Sam Bradford. But the what I remember from that, it was pretty gross, was that they had the Orange Bowl like a week earlier, and somehow, they never emptied out and refreshed the porta potties, the porta johns. So you've got the pregame tailgates going on, and it was an ugly scene. People were drinking and having a good time, and realizing that they had nowhere that was sanitary to go to the bathroom. And interesting. At that point, I finished my live shots and went inside, where I had to see any of this madness anymore. Anyway, back to a cleaner vision of the Indiana Miami. I'm sure they get that all worked out. Great show coming up. We've got insiders from both teams on the way. Shannon Griffith, our friend from Hoosiers.com, will be here. Also, Adam Lichtenstein from the Sun Sentinel down in Fort Lauderdale joining us as well. Hurricanes beat writer. Can't wait for that conversation. So it's a good time to get you ready as you're about to go out and make your list of the things you need for a little mini party possibly at your place as you're going to go watch this game on Monday night. That's coming up here as well. Another great moment of all. By the way, I want to say thanks to everyone who goes to our YouTube page, Sports IQLS. Thanks for going there. Hey, if you haven't gone, go there, subscribe if you will. Our moment of alls, we put there some great trivial content to kind of impress your friends. We're really excited because we have we just hit YouTube's top 5%. Top 5% most watched. And we're still kind of brand new in this game. So, hey, we appreciate the love. We appreciate you guys checking us out. And be sure to tell your friends as well about the show and about that, too. Let's get to some quick headlines right now before we bring in Coach Griff. Speaking of coaches, it looks like that the Giants may have their guy, John Harbaugh, expected to sign at any point. In fact, by the time you hear this, if you listen to it on a podcast, he may have already signed. Of course, a longtime Baltimore Ravens coach is out. He made some pretty hefty financial demands. But look, the Giants have won a total of 7 games over the past 2 years. Baltimore won 8 games this year alone in a down year that was filled with just a myriad of injuries to key players. We have said before, we're a big fan of what John Harbaugh has done in his career, and we think whoever gets him as a coach is a winner. And that's what the Giants are hoping to do, is finally get some wins after not winning much coming up. So anyway, he was there, according to ESPN, spent the day on Wednesday, and the reports ESPN say it was a good meeting, and it appears that he is headed to New York to be coach of the Giants. College basketball, upsetting night in the top 25. Stanford taking down North Carolina in the ACC, and Vandy, one of 3 unbeatens left in college basketball. No more. They drop one to Texas after getting into the top 10. Oops. By the way, not in the top 25, but what a game down in Baton Rouge. Kentucky on the verge of losing to a Tigers team that had yet to win a game in the SEC, but they rallied from 18 points down early in the second half with a buzzer beater by the 5-star freshman center Malachi Marino to beat LSU at the buzzer with an 18-foot jump shot. And so there is joy in Mudville. Mudville being Lexington, that is. By the way, as the NCAA does something that makes sense, let's check this, make sure this is at the end of time. Some changes now in the hoops. The hoops portal will only be open for just 15 days, and it won't open until, hold on to your socks here, until the day after the NCAA title game. I mean, someone has seen the light. Yeah, let's let everyone finish and then open. And basketball is so much different, really, when you think about it, because it's different because you're not changing semesters. You know, when the season's up, you still have another semester before exams, another month before exams. Football, you don't. You're straddling semesters, and so let's hope that they have some common sense there, and hopefully they'll have some common sense as well in college football in the time that comes. Report this morning out of ESPN, reading this right now off the site. This was pretty crazy to see this. Several college players among 20 charged in a scheme to shave points. It involves 39 college basketball players on 17 NCAA Division I teams. More than 29 games being affected, being fixed, according to this. In fact, 4 of the players have played for their current teams in the past week. Several schools named, a few of them: Alabama State, Buffalo, Coppin State, DePaul, Eastern Michigan, Kennesaw State, Fordham, New Orleans, we'd heard already connected before, Robert Morris, St. Louis, Southern Miss, Tulane, just to name a few of those. So again, this is one, ESPN.com has a full story if you want to read about that, but a point shaving scandal. We've said before, sadly, stunned that in this day and age where gambling is done on phones, betting can be done on phones, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened more than it has. But kind of a dark day again to read that. We'll be talking more about that in the days to come. Very quickly, NBA right now, a couple of key injuries last night. Jalen Brunson getting an ankle injured. Knicks lose. Also, Denver beats Dallas, but Cooper Flagg, the star rookie, also injures an ankle. So we'll watch those two situations as well. We are still buzzing days later about Indiana's performance in the college football playoff semifinal in the Peach Bowl. That was, look, I've said before back in September, the moment for me was the boat racing they did against Illinois on Saturday night. That was as thorough a beating of a team that was at the time ranked in the top 10. You can debate if they were worthy or not. That's fine. But I've been a believer ever since then. And now they go into the title game as a touchdown favorite over Miami on Miami's home field. Joining us once again, Shannon Griffith. He's with Hoosiers.com. It's been a great friend of the show. Shannon, good to see you again.
Good to see you guys.
As a Hoosier, as a guy right there, spent so much time there and coaching football, you had to have been impressed. They're an impressive team. This was maybe as impressive a performance as we thought the Alabama win.
Yeah.
Dominant. And then they did this.
Yeah. And this was a game that it really got more so got away from Oregon in the respect that it did when you throw the first pass of the game's a pick six. So from that point, it was kind of downhill. But even after the 21 points that Indiana scored off of the turnovers and such, they still outscored them on the game. So by 35-22, I believe was the final in that respect. If you kind of give the points away, take those down. But overall, it was a complete and utter spectacle of what complementary football is all about, with a defense and offense that were in sync from from play number one. I mean, even after Oregon came back to tie it and they think that they've got themselves back into the game and everything, Indiana goes right back down the field and steals the momentum right back from them. And from that point forward, it was kind of hold on, because Oregon just did not have an answer. Offensively, they really didn't have any answers on defensively. It was just a complete crazy type of game to see that late into the college football playoffs.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that you're offensively going up against an Oregon defense that had just shut out a high-powered Texas Tech offense. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, you score points for your defense, and that's gravy. But on top of that, this is one, and this Indiana offense is just so efficient. That's what for me is like. I mean, you're not. They don't even. That was the thing with going back to the Illinois game. That was when I really was like, wow, this is just. It's like they're Indiana. It's like they're scrimmaging against a top 10 team, where we're not even getting sacks. I mean, we just had a stat. What, 5 incompletions in 2 games? If you had 5 incompletions in 1 game, you're ready to name that player the player of the game. Over 5 incompletions.
Yeah, Mendoza has just played even a level above from where he was at the end of the year. He's kind of almost kicked it into a different gear. Some of the throws that he's been making in the college playoff games that he's thrown have just been like, I got to watch that back, because I just don't believe he made that throw. I mean, one of his best throws was he was on the left hash. He threw an out route to the field, the opposite hash, which was about a 43-yard throw. and he threw it on a line to hit Surratt for, out of bounds on a first down. And that was one of those, like, he just did what? I mean, he has those type of throws each and every game, and the contested throws that he throws to Surratt back shoulder, Charlie Becker up over the top again. I mean, he's just playing at a different level.
Yeah, it is amazing. Take us into a coach's mind when you're putting together a game plan, and at this level especially. How often have you had everything go the way you'd hoped it would in terms of dominating the line of scrimmage, your defense playing at its peak, at the same time your offense also was clicking on all cylinders? I mean, it just feels like that would be a rare thing on this level to have everything working for you all at once.
I was thinking about the same thing back in trying to figure out what those type of games were. You maybe have a game like that maybe once or twice a season, because you always seem like you're fighting one side of the ball over the other for whatever reason. The offense is not well today and the defense has to play the dominant foe. But this team has done it week in, week out since, almost out of the gate, even though they kind of gave up the first play of the 2025 season was a 75-yard quarterback run for a touchdown against Old Dominion. That's how they started the year out. It's kind of crazy to go back and think about it now, but there's not too many offenses and defenses that we've seen in college football that have consistently done what they've done week in, week out. And it's one of those things that now everybody's trying to find excuses for why that is. I mean, now you're hearing, well, they have the oldest team in the college football playoffs because they're playing with 23-year-olds and so forth and so on. And, it's like, again, I think it's just about time. Everybody just sit back, take a deep breath, and enjoy what we're seeing in front of us, because we may never see this again, regardless of who's hot and who's not. I mean, that's the truth. And the way they're playing, they're just on a mission that they're not going to be stopped.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Talking here once again with Shannon Griffith, the coach, Hoosiers.com, and there's so many different great things there for Indiana sports there in the area. Something else you mentioned too, I want to get into is in terms of we never see this before, the Hoosier fan base, the alums. There are people posting pictures who are at the Rose Bowl or the Peach Bowl that I've known for 20, 30 years that I forgot went to IU because but man, they are out crimson and cream everywhere. And we just read earlier this week on frontoversports.com saying they have the largest living alumni base of 800,000 people. And it feels like they all are coming out and posting pictures right now because of Indiana football.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. That is something that Indiana has talked about for decades, about the alumni base that they have. And it's probably, in some respects, it's one of the wealthier schools that you will find just because of that reason in terms of support. But when it comes to football, that fan base has been very dormant for many decades, and in some respects for good reason. But now that Indiana's come to the forefront, everybody has, enjoyed the ride. And that's the neat thing about what sports can do. No matter what it is, it can unite a fan base to the point of, like you said, that Indiana all of a sudden has 70 some odd. There were 70,000 seats at the Peach Bowl, and they said that I think Indiana occupied about 90% of them.
Wow.
And that's crazy considering the travel dynamic and things, the cost and things like that. But Indiana fans have really come out in groves in that respect, even out at the Rose Bowl. Like you said there, that was about a 75%. I mean, they've made it almost 2 home games for Indiana in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And it's been a sight to see. It's been a fun sight to see that you're seeing people enjoy it. It's even more exciting to see the ones that have been there for decades, that have been waiting for this moment that they thought they would never see. To see them react the way that they've reacted has been something of, just something to behold.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think too, I saw where I think people understand that when people ask, why is football so valuable? Why is college football such a valuable property on TV? Why is the NFL so valuable? It's because it is the one place you're guaranteed every single week, year in, year out, to have a guaranteed locked in audience. And I think you're already seeing that with Indiana in terms of even from last year. I just saw a report where, they have, their enrollment, the application numbers are up, the largest freshman class ever, more out of state students. And so that alone, I think what this report was saying, if 30,000 extra is what out of state students pay to go to IU compared to in-state. Well, you have 500 extra students. That's 15 million right there. That's more than Kurt Cignetti is going to make in his, his new contract, one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid in college sports in terms of coaches in 2026. So, and that's just a microcosm in terms of what it can do in terms of the attention of this throughout. They compared a lot really to the story I saw to Alabama and Nick Saban and how Alabama was a football power, but with winning year in, year out with Saban, how the entire university and the whole community was elevated.
No question. And it's been that way forever. It's, I know that some presidents may not like to say this out loud, but your athletic department is the porch to your university. It's the front porch. And if the front porch doesn't look clean and welcoming, no one's going to come to the front door. And that's why it's so important that you support your endeavors in athletics, especially at the collegiate level. And that doesn't matter whether you're a P4 school or a D3 school. It's still the fact that people want to associate themselves with teams that are winning successfully, and that draws them to the university. And they end up finding out that, oh, by the way, the academic programs here are as good as advertised when it comes to it. And Bloomington's no different. Right. The campus is great. The academic programs are even better. And because of this notoriety, it's creating avenues for their academics there at Indiana to reach further.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the game right now. It is Indiana, Miami. Hoosiers are our favorites. Look, anything's possible any given Sunday, right? Any given Monday, anybody can win. Miami is a very, very good program. Take nothing with them. But you look at what's happened these last two games, and really you go back to, last time they were challenged was the Ohio State game. I mean, they just, how do they dominate again? I mean, it's what questions are you asking yourself about this team coming into Monday night?
Well, I think if there's been another team in the playoffs that has played as well as Indiana has, it's been Miami, in my opinion. They go to Texas A&M and they get a huge win on the road, almost in similar fashion to how Indiana beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. And from that point forward, they kind of got the momentum going with them. And Carson Beck has been playing quite well. I mean, that's always been his Achilles heel. When he doesn't play well, those around him don't play any better. I mean, it's kind of he was that way kind of at Georgia. He was that way when they got beat by Louisville. He didn't play very well that game, threw a couple picks. So it's a matter, can they elevate their play and continue to play as good as they are? And can Indiana do it for the third straight week, what they've done for the first two? I guess that's the whole thing. Adversity, how do you respond to it? Indiana hasn't had much adversity in the college football playoffs. When you really sit and look at it, they had control of the Rose Bowl game from pretty much the outset. They had control of the Peach Bowl from the outset with the pick six. So they haven't faced the adversity as much as Miami did against Ole Miss, because they kept Ole Miss in that game by their mistakes. That's why that game was close. They did that with their own mistakes, penalties and things like that. So if Miami's going to do those things against Indiana will make them pay for it. The penalties, the turnovers, that's what Indiana does. They take advantage of your mistakes and they make you pay for them. And that's what good teams do. So I think it's going to be a great game in all honesty. Miami has great speed. That's the one thing that Miami has. They're going to have a more talented roster when you go man by man. But can they play disciplined football for 60 minutes at a level that Indiana's at will ultimately be the deciding factor in this game.
Yeah. And boy, what if they get up 10, 13, 14 points on Indiana? How do the Hoosiers respond?
Exactly.
Your point.
Right.
Yeah.
They just haven't, at some point in time, you're going to get punched in the nose, and it's how you react to it. Indiana has always answered the bell when they've had that punch in the nose. They did it against Ohio State, and they've done it in other parts of the year this year. But when you're in the tournament and things have gone the way they've gone for Indiana, they haven't had that adversity hit them where they've had to all of a sudden play a little bit differently because of the circumstances dictate it. So again, I think they will respond to anything that's in front of them just because of the way they're playing. And it's going to come down to, just like I said, razor thin margin, who turns it over. And ultimately special teams has a way of sneaking its way in there, just like it did against Oregon. Indiana blocked the punt. And again, that's a swing of momentum that you weren't expecting.
Where are you going to watch the game on Monday?
By golly, I am headed to Miami to cover the game. My wife had her knee scoped right before Christmas, so I kind of sat on the sidelines for 2 weeks. And when they won it, I kind of looked at her and she said, yeah, it's okay. So I put in for the credentialing, and I'm heading to Miami on Saturday. And
awesome.
We'll have stuff for the Hoosier Tailgate. That's the podcast that I have. So if people want to watch me, I'm on Monday and Thursday nights this week at 7:30 on YouTube.
Yep.
And just search Hoosier Tailgate and you'll find it. But looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being there to see it more in live. You get a different feel when you're in person than you do watching in your chair at home. But I do like the 50-yard line aspect of being in your chair at home where you don't have to, go around people to get a drink or a beverage
right.
either. But again, you can't pass up an opportunity, even as a college football coach, a former college football coach, irregardless, if I could go to a national championship game, that's kind of one of those things that has always been a bucket list that you want to do as a coach, is be a part of it. And getting a chance to go see it live will be pretty exciting.
Absolutely. It should be. Well, hey, if you have to come on the show Tuesday morning, if you have time, we'll shoot you a note. Give us 10 minutes. Give us Tony reach out to you. We'll talk.
We'll talk. Yep. We'll talk.
Yeah. But yeah, enjoy. I've not been down there since they renovated Hard Rock and added the awning over and everything.
Yeah. Right.
But the seat where they're going to put you, where they always did for Super Bowls and for BCS before, kind of there in the corner, is not a bad spot in terms of your vids, kind of that up in the corner where they put you. But what a great experience now. And you'll be live on YouTube Monday night pregame, right?
Well, Monday night tonight, Thursday night this week as well. I don't know what I will do when it comes to Monday as of yet. I usually do a pregame primer, which is usually 2 hours before kickoff. And that may be something I still do, but they'll have to wait and look at my Twitter page, Hoosier Tailgate, and get that information, because you just don't know what the setup is down there sometimes with the Wi-Fi, and you don't know what the amount of cell phones does to a signal real quickly, as you guys know.
Yep, right. And everybody on the outside, not only on the phone, but taking pictures, and they're doing everything. So, well, Shannon, listen, safe travels, man. Enjoy this experience. What a once in a lifetime. I mean, like you said, we enjoy this. We may never see this kind of dominance again by a team, especially Indiana again with not much football history. Exciting time. Like I said, I'm not going to wear an IU shirt. I haven't gone that far. I'm not there yet. I'm not doing that, but I'm a believer in what this team is doing. And man, wish you the very best. We're excited for you.
I appreciate you guys so much. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. And let us know about Monday night. Be sure to check that out. Hoosier Tailgate. Check that out for Monday night pregame. Indiana, Miami, 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN, Hard Rock Stadium. Just outside Miami, the site of so many great moments in sports already, and this will be another one added to that. Shannon Griffith, love having him here on the show. Hoosier.com and the tailgate. Be sure to be part of that. Okay, quick timeout. We've got more to come on the Sports IQ.
Hey, airline travelers, let's say you have a problem and you need to change or cancel an existing airline reservation. What do? Well, Skywatch is a free service that can help anyone with any airline reservation fix it. Whether you want to cancel it, change your dates, or add passengers, we can help fix your airline reservations so you get exactly what you need. We've updated our computer database and now have access to every airline around the globe. So now you can make one phone call regardless of who booked your airline tickets, and we'll change it, cancel it, and fix it for you. We know the insider secrets to fixing reservations that the airlines don't want you to know about. So if you need to cancel, change, or modify an existing airline reservation, call Skywatch right now. It's a free call, so let us fix it for you. 800-413-7158. 800-413-7158. 800-413-7158. That's 800-413-7158.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
For college football news right now, as we get ready to bring Adam in to talk about the Miami Hurricanes. Dante Moore says he will return to Oregon to be their quarterback in 2026. Now, remember, he was looking at possibly transferring or going to the NFL, but he's going to come back. I'm sure it's a pretty sweet NIL deal. Now, just a few days ago, Dylan Raiola, the former 2-year starter for Nebraska, who began starting for the Huskers as a true freshman, he announced that he was going to transfer, leaving the portal, coming out of the portal to go there and to possibly be the starter QB1 if Dante Moore didn't return. But it appears now Moore is your guy. So Raiola will be a very high-paid backup to QB2 and will be the starter presumably in 2027. So interesting development there about that. By the way, interesting note from Front Office Sports. We love their reporting. NCAA President Charlie Baker saying the other night at the NCAA convention that entry into the transfer portal actually is down 23% from last year. That doesn't seem right. It seems like everyone's involved. I don't know how your school is doing this, but said that since the payments began here this year, at the House settlement back in July, that he says transfers allegedly are down. Look, we'll take him at his word. So okay, thought that was interesting enough to pass along. Little hockey story for you here. If you're a Rangers fan, if you know a Rangers fan, take their shoelaces away and hide the sharp objects, okay? Here's why. New York Rangers, they're the only team in the NHL's Eastern Conference with a record below 500. They've lost 8 of their last 9, and in their last 3 games, they have given up 22 goals. Ugh. So yeah, Rangers fans, listen, it's okay. 2026, tomorrow's a new day. It's okay. Let's go outside. I know it may be cold. Let's just get a breath of fresh air. It's okay. Hey, look. Birds, still in winter. Give them help. Get them help. Okay, a little NFL news. Jacksonville Jaguars GM says, I can barely say this, despite Travis Hunter missing 10 games with a knee injury, they still see him playing both ways next season. Former Heisman winner kept saying, yeah, he's going to play both ways. We're saying, it's NFL. You sure you want to do that? Is it the smartest move for a team that's that really needs such a talented player? I just don't know. Anyway, we thought we'd pass that along as well. Hey, some baseball news as well. Some signings continuing. Hard to believe, again, we're less than a month away from the opening of spring training for pitchers and catchers. Boston getting one of the best lefty starters out there in the game. Left in free agency. Rangers Suarez coming in to help their rotation. The former Philly starter coming in, getting a massive contract. And so we look forward to that. Man, it is not too long before we start talking baseball again. It's been pretty crazy. We're still talking football, and yet it's on the way. Speaking of more football talk, we've got it for you. CFP prep continues with Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel next here on the Sports IQ.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
As we continue here on the Sports IQ, producer Tony has our next guest. Tony.
Well, thanks so much, Larry. And the countdown to the big game Monday night continues. Number 1, Indiana. Number 10, Miami, facing off at Hard Rock Stadium down there in sunny South Florida. And joining us once again is Adam Lichtenstein. He is the beat reporter for the Miami Hurricanes for the Sun Sentinel. Adam, welcome back to the show. It's been an exciting few weeks for these Hurricane fans.
For sure. And thanks for having me on again. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I mean, this is a team that, barely sneaked into the playoffs as the last at-large seed and went on the road, beat A&M, beat, Ohio State as an underdog, beat Ole Miss, in a crazy game. And now they're up against the surprisingly buzzsaw like Indiana Hoosiers. Who would have seen that coming 3 years ago, So yeah, crazy ride, really fun playoffs. Like it's been a blast.
Yeah, I think if anybody had on their bingo card 24 months ago, Miami facing Indiana down in Miami for the national championship, you probably could have gotten some pretty good odds on that in Vegas. If you'd have put down a bet, you'd be making some really big money right about now. But let's take a look at the game a little bit closer here, Adam, and let's talk about how things are going to play out. You and I talked last time before the Ole Miss game, and we said as long as Carson Beck doesn't turn the ball over, he doesn't have to go out and win it. He just has to make sure he doesn't lose it. Well, he kind of went out and won it for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, that game, it was odd because Miami spent so much of that game basically dominating Ole Miss. You look at the stat sheet, like there are some crazy stats floating out there about how, like, with their time of possession, they had over 40 minutes time of possession, like the yardage, it's differential. Like Miami should have, very easily could have run away with that game, but they shot themselves in the foot kind of repeatedly with, poorly timed penalties. They dropped 4 interceptions in that game, some of which went through multiple players' hands, like kind of very un-Miami like for the way they've played in the playoffs so far. So it came down to like Miami. I said before the game, Miami needed to play its style of game to win that game, and if Ole Miss dragged them into their style of game, then Ole Miss would probably win. And it started off as Miami's style of game and ended up as Ole Miss's style of game, and that's why the game got so close at the end. Where yeah, you needed Carson Beck to basically put the team on his shoulders with that drive in the last couple minutes. They only had so much time left on the clock, and so they weren't running the ball much, and he put the team on his back. Completed some key third downs, and then ultimately, ran into the end zone. Who saw that coming? Who saw him scoring the game-winning touchdown to secure a national title game berth with his legs? Like, who saw that coming? So, yeah, I mean, he kind of showed he hadn't really done a whole lot for much of the playoffs entering this game, didn't need to do much, but he put the team on his back when they needed him the most.
And does this kind of, I don't know, cement a Carson Beck legacy in college football? He came to Georgia after Stetson Bennett, and he won the job, but they weren't able to win a national title with him. He comes to Miami after leaving Georgia, and now he has Miami on the verge of a national title. Would a win here really kind of cement his legacy among Hurricane fans?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think his legacy is already cemented, and I think it was cemented when he ran into the end zone last week. Because I mean, like, look, Carson Beck, you won't find, in terms of just players on the field, you won't find a more polarizing player. And we're talking about a kid who, this time 18 months ago was probably going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Struggles at Georgia. There were some stories that came out after the Ole Miss game, where like talking about when he first came to Miami, how he was kind of broken, both like physically and mentally. Like he had a torn, ligament in his elbow. His confidence was shaken, like beyond shaken, just gone, because of the way like fans and the way things went at Georgia. He comes to Miami, spends the whole spring just learning the offense, doing what he can, but just learning because he couldn't throw the ball at all. Finally gets back on the field in August, and he's taken this team, through ups and downs. I mean, and ups and downs of his own making, to be totally fair. He threw 4 interceptions against Louisville. That's why they lost. He threw 2 interceptions, one of which was not really his fault against SMU. But the second one was, basically the game ender in overtime. And then since then, he's played phenomenally, only had 2 interceptions in the last 4 plus 3 is 7 games. Sorry, I have to do math there. But yeah, over his last 7 games, only thrown 2 interceptions. Like I said, done everything you need him to do. And, he's taken this team back to the national title game for the first time in almost a quarter century. And you look at the quarterbacks who've won national titles at Miami, it's Bernie Kosar, it's Steve Walsh, it's Ken Dorsey. I was going to say Vinny Testaverde, but I remembered he didn't actually win the national title at Miami. But, it's a history of great quarterbacks at this school. And if he can, be the next one to win a national title, then like Miami fans won't care about that Louisville game, won't care about anything that happened to Georgia. He will be welcomed back and won't have to buy a drink in Miami for decades.
Absolutely, yeah. I have no doubt about that. If they win the national title, that would absolutely happen. You take a look at the Miami running game, and they've been solid throughout these playoffs. They need to continue that against Indiana in order for them to be successful. Would you say that that's a good statement?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Carson Beck, like I said, polarizing player and a good quarterback, but probably not going to throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. They need that running game to provide the balance to open things up in the passing game. And it has been excellent so far in the playoffs. Mark Fletcher Jr., who I've covered since he was in high school. I mean, can't say enough good things about him. I mean, first of all, he's basically a linebacker playing running back. He's like 6'2", 230. I wrote about this yesterday. he was hurt the end of the year. He got hurt against SMU, missed 2 games. Then the last 2 games of the regular season, he didn't play a ton. He only had, I think, about 50 yards combined in the last 2 games. And then, give him a couple weeks to recover in time for the A&M game. And boom, he's hot out the gate, runs for a career high 170 yards in that game, runs for another 90 against Ohio State, scores a receiving touchdown, runs for 130 against Ole Miss. Like, it's a combination of obviously him and that offensive line. The offensive line's been phenomenal at clearing paths for him, and the receivers have been great at run blocking as well. So it's really a whole team effort. But Fletcher, I mean, you can't say enough good things about him, and he's a great person. Like, everyone loves him. Mario Cristobal called him the heart and soul of this team, and he's the heart and soul both in terms of his personality and in terms of like the number one goal that a Mario Cristobal team wants to do is just run over you. And they've been able to do that pretty consistently through their first 3 playoff games, just run over people and push piles and open up holes. And if they can do that against Indiana, they'll have a really good shot at this game. And if they could do it against Ohio State, I think they can do it against Indiana.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to a game in the trenches, right? That's where both of these teams kind of shine. Miami may have the bigger names, but Indiana has played well in the trenches all throughout this play. So it's really going to be a strength on strength matchup almost. I think this game might come down to the team that can best run the football in the long run.
Absolutely. I 100% agree it's going to come down to the trenches. And I was actually looking into this a bit this morning. Miami, if you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, and you could take those for what they're worth. I'm not saying they're perfect and flawless and infallible, but take them for what it's worth. Miami has the number 1 pass blocking offensive line and the number 1 pass rushing defensive line, or at least pass blocking unit and pass rushing unit as a whole, not just the lines. But they're great at getting to quarterbacks and protecting their own quarterback. And what intrigued me is you look at the quarterbacks Miami's played in the playoffs. You have Trinidad Chambliss, who gets the ball out extremely fast. I think like under 2.4 seconds per drop back. You have Marcel Reed and Julian Sayin, who take much longer to throw. Miami sacked Chambliss 1 time, and they sacked Sayin and Reed a combined 12 times. And though that made huge differences in those games. Fernando Mendoza is right in the middle. He takes longer to throw than Chambliss, but less time to throw than Sayin and Reed. If Miami, if they can make him look like Sayin and Reed and sack him 4 or 5 times and constantly have him scrambling and constantly have him under pressure, then Miami has a great shot at this game. If they can't get to Fernando Mendoza and he can find those great receivers, Miami is going to be in trouble because Indiana, when they're clicking, has a phenomenal offense. We've seen that, in their first 2 playoff games. So I think that's the thing I'm going to have my eye on the closest during this game. And it's not complicated. It's how Miami won the first couple playoff games. And if they can do that, if they can replicate that, they have a good chance to win this one. If they can't, it'll be a much, much tougher road for them.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Mendoza has been just spectacular the last 2 games. I mean, when you've got a quarterback who has more TD passes than incompletions, that's impressive. So but that goes to the entire team. That's not just Fernando Mendoza. That's keeping him upright and clean and letting the receivers get to their routes and make the adjustments. And if they can do that, they're going to be a tough out for any team, obviously. But this game in particular, do you think Mendoza coming home, that he has a little extra incentive to want to do well to coming back to South Florida?
I'm sure. I mean, look, it's the national title game. I'm sure he wants to win badly. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, it's funny as a journalist. This is like the ultimate narrative national title game because you have, Fernando Mendoza coming back home. He's a Miami guy. Went to Miami Columbus, which is like a big high school in South Florida, really big in the Cuban community. Then you have Mario Cristobal, who also went to Miami Columbus. He's also a Miami guy. Went to the University of Miami. Played with Fernando Mendoza's father in high school. Like, it's the ultimate narrative. It's almost too much. So yeah, I'm sure, Fernando Mendoza's entire family, probably everyone, probably the mailman who delivered mail to his house when he was in 2nd grade will probably be there if he can get tickets. Like, it's going to be nuts. Like, it should be a really raucous environment. Like, I'm really excited. It should be a really, really cool game.
The thing we talked about, when we've talked to Shannon Griffith, he's our insider on the other end who covers Indiana on a regular basis for Hoosiers.com. And we talked to him and he said, Indiana travels really well. In the past 2 games in the Rose Bowl, they thought it might have been about a 85% crowd for Indiana. And against Oregon, it was still, he said, probably 3/4 of the place was rooting for Indiana, and they were wearing Indiana colors. Do you think we'll see that same thing down there at Hard Rock Stadium come Monday?
I don't think it'll be that lopsided. Apparently, and I've learned this in the last couple of days, apparently Indiana has like the largest active alumni base in the country, which who knew? Like apparently, like they have a huge fan base and they're super pumped up, and they should be because they have a chance to win their first ever national title. I'm sure. Like I can't imagine that excitement. Like I get it, but it is in Miami. It is the Hurricanes' literal home stadium. I don't know the exact way they distribute tickets. I think I've heard different things. Like a quarter goes to UM to distribute, and a quarter goes to Indiana to distribute, and then a chunk goes to like corporate sponsors and stuff like that to distribute, and then a chunk goes to like the general market. I don't know exactly. And like the ticket prices, I'm sure you've seen, are absolutely insane. We're talking like $3,000 to get in the door and like $800 to buy a parking pass. Like it's crazy right now. So I think it's gonna be like I said, it's gonna be a boisterous crowd for both sides. I don't know which side will have the exact numeric fan advantage, but I think both fan bases are gonna be there in force. They're gonna be loud. It's gonna be crazy. Like I expect it. And if it's gonna be a close game, like it's gonna be a insane environment. I can't use another word for it. It's gonna be insane.
Is it going to be odd for the Hurricanes to come out in road jerseys? Because obviously Indiana will be the home team because they're the higher seed in the contest. So is it going to be weird for them to see them in road colors there at Hard Rock?
Yeah, it'll be a little weird. I mean, they're going to be in the visitors' locker room, not their usual one. Like I'm sure it'll be a little weird from them, coming out of a different tunnel and stuff. Like I don't know if it'll throw them off or anything, but like it might be a little odd. But I'll tell you, they've been wearing what they call the Stormtrooper jerseys, the all whites, all throughout the playoffs, and it's brought them good luck. So maybe they need that road jersey instead of the home jerseys to keep that run going.
Yeah, just to kind of keep that in mind as you're watching the game kind of play out and see when both teams come on the field. If there's one thing that you're looking for from Miami, that you want to see them, are there any surprises you think that this team has at this point of the playoffs? Have they kept anything, any tricks that they've kept in the bag that they're going to try to pull out for this game?
I don't think so. We've seen, Miami kind of reach into their bag of tricks, like, doing different things with Malachi Toney, because he can do everything. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball, he can obviously catch the ball. And they kind of reached into those bag of tricks, like, kind of throughout the playoffs. Like, and it hasn't really worked. Like, it hasn't worked a ton. Like, it worked phenomenally throughout the regular season, but hasn't really worked much in the playoffs. And they've kind of defaulted back to their physical, we're going to run the ball up the middle style of play. And it's worked. And it's funny because if you follow the Hurricanes kind of throughout the year, that was a point of consternation with the fans. Like there was a point in the middle of the season when they lost to Louisville and lost to SMU where people felt they were running the ball up the middle, too much. And there's a reason why they did that. It's because it is a strength of theirs. They can overpower people. But when you face good defenses that know it's coming, they can stop that. But no one's been able to stop it so far in the playoffs. Like, SMU was able to stop it, but Ohio State wasn't. So take that for what it's worth. I don't think it's going to be too crazy. Like, I don't know. I'm sure they might try, running Malachi Toney out of what they call the Malley-Cat package, where he lines up as the quarterback. And unlike a lot of other Wildcat packages, he actually can and will throw out of that. But I think Miami's attitude right now is like, spot the ball, line it up, and our guys are bigger than yours, and we're going to just overpower you.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. We will be watching, the entire world will be watching on Monday night from down in Hard Rock. Adam Lichtenstein, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the game Monday night. Adam is the Miami Hurricanes beat writer for the Sun Sentinel down there in Miami. Enjoy the game. I'm sure you will have a better seat than some of us will for the contest.
And most importantly, mine is free. That's the most important part.
That is key. Yes, absolutely. Enjoy the game, Adam. We'll be talking to you soon when the contests are over. The smoke kind of clears on the season and we get ready for the 2026 football season. Have a great day.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
We will be right back on the Sports IQ after a quick timeout.
Welcome back here to the Sports IQ. Producer Tony is talking to us now. And Tony, you and I mean, listen, the three of us, you, me, and Josh, constantly talking, texting all the way through. We're sports junkies. And here it comes down to it. I love this matchup on Monday night. Indiana, Miami. Won the Hoosiers. Again, the improbable 1 seed that if you'd ask us even 2 years ago, if you said, hey, 2 years from now, Indiana's going to be an undefeated number 1 team favored to win the college football championship, I would even look for a straitjacket. I would just pounced on you, pinned you down, and yelled and screamed, like, call 911. This person has gone delusional. Against a Miami team that's a 10 seed. That the great history in this, but again, you play this. If you go back 10 years ago, this is there's a 1-game championship, Indiana, Georgia for the title. Period. That's it. So the fact we play this on the field is why no matter what happens, I'm loving this.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great playoff. The games have been exciting. It's been different. A couple of them have been blowouts, but we've seen some really good football being played. And the matchup going to happen down in Miami should be a classic. I mean, these two teams are set up because they are actually kind of alike, but kind of dissimilar as well, coming in. So I'm looking forward to a really good matchup.
Yeah, it's one when you think about it. There's no SEC, and so again, there's a question of the SEC. Third straight year you have not won this, and not in the title game here, not even in the conversation at the same time. And I think for an Indiana team, again, just not to belabor the point, just the way they've changed the game so quickly. I just it's rare you have something revolutionary in sports and college sports, but that's exactly what Indiana and Curt Cignetti are. It's a revolution.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back, the last time we had a team kind of come out of nowhere to win a national title was probably the 1983 Miami Hurricanes, who going into the season were maybe thought of as a middle of the pack team. And all of a sudden they're playing mighty Nebraska. Nebraska was the, 900-pound gorilla in the room. Right. They, along with Oklahoma, had kind of been ruling the roost for a while in college football. And here comes Nebraska. I mean, here comes Miami with this passing offense, because at that time, everything was run, and then, run some more. And here come these guys throwing the ball all over the yard, which people hadn't really seen. Yeah. And all of a sudden, that opened a whole new door to college football, where again, passing had started to become in the NFL. It drifted down to college and became more of the mindset of the rest of these teams. But this, I'm interested to see what happens with the Indiana offense. Can they attack this Miami defense? They've got to find a way to neutralize those edges. You can't let Ruben Bain control the game. As Adam told us, if Ruben Bain, if they can get some sacks early, that's going to be a really good sign for Miami. So Indiana needs to figure out a way to control that line of scrimmage and keep Bain out of their backfield.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about that 83 team. They did it also with a redshirt freshman, Bernie Kosar, a quarterback that nobody had heard of going into the season. The rookie in Miami that year was Dan Marino out of Pitt, the first round pick for the Dolphins, and the iconic Sports Illustrated cover the next fall with both of them on the cover. That was pretty cool. Speaking of Miami, meanwhile, there's been some criticism of Mario Cristobal and his play calling, his decision-making late in games. Does he and his staff, do they have the chops to get this done in 60 minutes and put everyone in the right position to get a championship?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the key thing. There has been criticism of them in the past, especially the last couple of years, where they've let some leads slip away with questionable decisions down the stretch. If I'm Mario Cristobal and I want to try to figure out, okay, here's what I need to do. This Indiana offense is really explosive. What's the best way to beat an explosive offense? Keep them on the bench.
Yeah.
How's the best way to do that? Control the clock. So if I'm Miami, I'm going to give the Indiana offense a heavy dose of Mr. Fletcher, right, left, center, wherever he wants to run the ball. We're going to keep running him. And even if it doesn't succeed early, can I wear them down enough so it succeeds late? And can I keep the game close enough to where I can take advantage of it later on? Because I want to limit the amount of possessions and the amount of time Mendoza has the ball in his hands, because he's shown he's going to find a way to beat you. I mean, 8 touchdown passes, 5 incompletions.
Yeah.
The numbers going into this game from the last 2 are just incredible. Nobody has ever had passing stats like that coming into a title game.
Yeah, it is insane. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. We'll hold off until Monday. We're going to do a prediction on Monday. I want you to think about it over the weekend. So we'll hold off on that. Okay, a really cool moment of all is up next.
Fans of big sports radio and sports spectacular podcasts have a new home on the Chief Sports Network. Find your favorite programs and content all in one place by downloading the Chief Sports app in your mobile device. Created in South Carolina, the Chief Sports Network is the home of an expanding network of live and podcast format programming. It is also the home of one of the leading national college football podcasts, JC and Morgan, hosted by ESPN's Mike Morgan and 24/7 Sports' JC Sherbert. Download the Chief Sports app for free and find all of your favorite programming under one easy umbrella. Thanks to all of our markets for your loyal support of Big Sports Radio and our Sports Spectacular podcast, and we look forward to connecting with you anywhere in the world on the Chief Sports app.
Okay, time now for a moment of awe, and we talk about today the game of basketball, because on this day in 1892 was the day that the rules of basketball were first published. It first became public. Dr. Naismith, James Naismith, as you know, he had to create an indoor game to keep guys in shape at the Springfield YMCA, and he did so in December of 1891. But on this day, January 15th, 1892, was the day they became published, those rules in the campus newspaper there at Springfield College, and it took off like wildfire. The first public game was 2 months later, and one of the players in that game was the famous football coach, Amos Alonzo Stagg, who's a good friend of Naismith's. Of course, we know Naismith went on to go to University of Kansas, where he was on faculty there. He coached the great Fog Allen, who then in turn coached Dean Smith, who then in turn coached Michael Jordan. So if any Jordan fans think that he's royalty, in some ways they're right. There it is. That's your moment of awe. It happened on this day. Thanks so much again here to our guest, Coach Shannon Griffith of Indiana, the Hoosiers.com, also Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel. Always appreciate you coming by as well. Make it a great day. We'll do it again tomorrow here on the Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.